Good evening. It's hot as hell out there. No, I'm really serious. It's in fuego. For a man like myself, you look at war in Europe, pending nuclear war, inflation, stagflation, all these crazy things. And now the world is on fire. It's crazy hot. It's exhausting. It makes you wonder, should you even consider creating children? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'll tell you what, you got to live life to the fullest. That's what I plan to do because it's summertime. How's everyone doing today? Good, good. We got a really great show for you tonight. In the second hour, we're going to have a crazy debate over 90s male R&B groups. I know it sounds ignorant, but it has to happen because I got fussed down by a trillion people for doing something that was introduced by someone else online. And so, with that said, we're going to settle the score tonight in the second hour with musicologist Roger Riddle. But first, we're going to bring up a young man, Ade G, who's going to talk about his career path. And I got a special surprise for you guys later in the show regarding that. Ira will be in. Dr. Ira Davis will be in to explain an issue. Kim will be on shortly to tell me why she thinks I'm stupid for certain music choices. And we will have Professor Hanif Omar from Shawn University School of Economics to explain crypto. I know a lot of entrepreneurs got into crypto, and crypto is literally crashing. Everything's crashing, but crypto is really crashing. And so we're going to get into that and more. All that tonight on tonight's show. But first, let's open it up. Hola, everyone. Welcome to the Shawn Show. The show has begun, and I think we have a sponsor.
The Shawn Show is brought to you by Body Butter Bakery. Visit www.bodybutterbakery.com for beard and body oils, hydrating shower gels, and nourishing body scrubs with popular scents like strawberry lemonade, mango and pineapple, and champagne apple and honey. Bodybutterbakery.com, a proud sponsor of The Shawn Show.
And that sponsor of The Shawn Show is the wonderful Kim Dudley. Hey, Kim, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Shawn. How are you?
You doing all right? Just all right? What's wrong with you?
So, oh, well, I'm coming up off of my lengthy cold, so I'm better now. I'm at like 95.8%.
Okay. So some specific numbers, but all right,
Yeah.
95.8%. Well,
Right.
as usual, we are always glad to have you on the show, and we're extra glad that you've blessed us with new products. So, what's going on in the bakery right now, Kim?
I have a new body wash coming out next week. Again, I'm waiting. It's a label thing.
It's a
Hopefully
label
they'll
thing.
be delivered to the right place this time. But
Uh-huh.
that's about it. I think did I talk about summer butters last time? I don't remember,
You
but
so okay. I was on your site at Body Butter Bakery on Instagram, and I saw that you literally put some substance on this hot cement in Florida heat, and it
yep,
didn't melt. And I know
correct.
you were suspending the body butters because you didn't like it turning into body butter soup. A- but because you're an alchemist all of a sudden in this new venture of yours, you
Right.
figured out a way. Well, you talk about this because I might be getting ahead
Yeah,
of myself.
it's a new formula. The original whipped body butter is just butters and oils. This is water, butter, and oils. So the water just allows it to stabilize. It has a little preservative in it. The preservative is natural, so it's still a natural product. It's just a different consistency. So it is a butter. It's a little creamier than whipped.
So it's not gonna find a way to like stick to our ribs,
No, it
like
won't be
like
doing
bad
that.
food.
No,
Okay.
it will absorb into your skin.
So when is this available? Is it
It's
available now?
available now.
What?
But what I have been doing to slow down sales, I know it sounds crazy, but
This
to
woman
keep
wants to slow down sales, y'all.
every day I've been turning the site off, just like stopping sales and then turning it back on. So for half a day you can stop. Half a day you gotta wait till the next day. It's no different than stocking and restocking the shelves. It's just I don't want to go through each listing, each item one by one and say sold out, sold out, sold out. So it's just easier to cut everything off and then put it back on and off on.
Okay. I mean, you know what's best. You know what's best for your body butters.
Right now, yeah, until I get a staff. Gotta work on a staff.
You got to work on a staff. People don't want to work. Well, before I ask you something else. So, did you have you had an opinion? You made a comment. In fact, you were the first person to comment when I released my '90s male R&B group bracket, and you had some snarky remark. What was your problem with what I put out there, Kim?
Guy,
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Like did you look at the whole list?
I looked at the whole list.
I don't know. I was not, around like that when at Guy's peak, so I cannot say for certain, but I'm pretty sure they were not selling out arenas. I'm pretty sure. I would bank on that. They weren't selling them out then. They're not going to sell them out today. You cannot pit them against groups who sold them out then and would sell them out today.
What,
Guy
like
is
which
not a
groups? Like wait,
factor.
talking about like New Edition? They're an '80s group. It's a '90s group competition.
It is, but
So
they
what?
didn't have '90s hits.
No,
I don't know
not
about
ma'am. New Edition '90s hits.
I would have to. I feel like they've been active
No, they've been active,
some
so they can
capacity.
sing their old stuff, but they ain't have no new stuff in the '90s.
I don't know if they took a break from 1990 to 1999. I'm pretty sure they didn't. You're not gonna tell me they took a whole. I'll have to go back and look.
They didn't take a break. They just got together so they could sell more stuff because they were broke.
Even if they only had one hit, it was better than all of Guys put together. Guys don't even have a 30-minute set.
See, I don't feel like you are respecting what I'm putting down. You're not picking up what I'm putting down right now, Kim.
And you would have to pick somebody else. I would need to know. I don't like of all the groups. They didn't even cross over. They're not even mainstream.
You're not supposed to be mainstream. It's an R&B group category.
I'm not. I'm not for it.
Did I miss something? R&B is not supposed to be. All right, we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do this right now. We're gonna get on with the rest of the show. But you keep shutting the sites off and on, but you do have body butters. So you're back to selling body butter.
A different consistency, yes.
And I'm waiting for the shipment to come in.
Your oils?
Yes, they're saying it may have been received, but I didn't receive it.
Oh Lord. Okay. Well, yours and Ty said delivered, so maybe somebody got it.
Maybe it's at Ty's place, because did you send them separately or together?
Yeah, I sent them separately.
Okay. Well, Ty's still in Europe, I think.
Oh.
For Father's Day. Yeah, his daughter in Denmark. Okay. And probably doing some other stuff, because I haven't had contact. The only thing he hit me up about was about the bracket challenge.
I mean, how could he not? It's a mess. You should repent.
No, I know someone who has the exact same grouping. 2 people who have the exact same grouping.
Okay. I respect your opinion.
Yeah. You're too young anyway, Kim. So you're welcome. You're young. I'm going to keep you up for a second. I'm going to bring in Dr. Davis so he can talk about this real quick before he talks about his issue. Dr. Davis, are you there? Uh-oh. He was there. Nobody wants to talk about this. I don't understand why people find it so controversial. You know what I find controversial is that an 80s group is getting all this love, like New Edition. Or Jodeci, where people don't even listen to their fast songs.
Jodeci was the 90s group.
They were the 90s slow group, and they didn't have that many albums. None of these jokers had albums. None of these jokers had albums that were good.
Wait. Guy has 3 songs.
3 songs?
They have 3 songs. Let's Chill.
There's 3 Teddy's Jams alone.
Okay. Teddy Riley and Guy, those are 2 different acts.
No, Teddy Riley, that was Guy. Those count. No, Teddy's Jam.
No. It does not count. You cannot count Teddy Riley's solo projects.
No, that's not a solo project. Those were listed under Guy. They just called it Teddy Jam.
Oh, okay. Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 songs.
Peace of My Love, Bye Bye Baby, Why You Want to DOG Me Out.
Yeah, see, that last one I don't even know.
Groove Me, Baby.
Okay, 5 songs. So now we're at
there's a lot of songs. Fantasy is even like a soundtrack song. Fantasy.
I don't even know if I know that one.
It's just my fantasy.
So you will put Guy ahead of Boys to Men? Boys to Men had a #1 song for like 20 weeks.
Great. There ain't nobody here who's saying I can't wait to see Boys to Men.
Who cares about Guy?
You clearly are of a different generation. I'm about to lose my sponsor over this. I'm about to bring it. Let me see if Dr. Davis can school you real quick.
They had,
and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Dr. Davis, are you there?
School me, please.
Dr. Davis. I don't know if you're hearing the Guy slander from this young one.
I mean, how I know you're not supposed to ask. Give me a vicinity. How old are you?
I am 38.
Okay, 38. So she's a little younger than us. Yeah. I mean, Guy was the group. I mean, think about this. When Guy came out, you had who was it? Today, Big Bub. His whole style came from Guy. I think they were managed by Gene Griffin.
GR.
Who originally managed Guy. Then the biggest one of them all, the biggest one to ever pay homage to the whole style, R. Kelly. R. Kelly made his whole career off of
Teddy Riley's
Teddy
New Jack
Riley
Swing and Guy's Swing.
Sound. I mean, imagine R. Kelly would on his second album, I believe, he cut his hair bald like Aaron Hall.
Okay. Would you say?
In fact, he tried to sound like Aaron Hall.
The voice, the style, the cadence, everything, and then when you just deal with God in that whole era with Teddy Riley, you had the whole New Jack Swing. I mean, everybody who was anybody, their music was being produced by Teddy Riley during that particular time. So not only did you have Guy, but you had all of the New Jack Swing artists. And I believe it was on, it wasn't on a Guy song, I believe it was on a Rex and Effect song.
Yeah.
Where they went through and they listed, Rex and Effect, Teddy's brother was in Rex and Effect.
Man, he rests in peace. Ain't that
and then they went through and they just named all, I think the name was so called You Got to Get Down. And they went through and named all the groups that Teddy was producing and who was down with Teddy at that particular time. And that whole Guy style.
Okay. Would you say Guy, not Teddy Riley, would you say Guy is the most influential 90s group? R&B.
I'd say that first half of the decade, yes.
Now here's the thing, like when Shawn he sent that to me, and I was like, the year thing I was kind of off a little, because what I told him was I kind of placed Guy more in the late 80s.
So the way it works is like Grammy rules, right? So
okay.
88, 89, which you get the award in 90, and no one played Guy's stuff until 88, 89, 90 anyway. And then they went to like 92, 93. They had about 3 albums worth of stuff, and back then soundtrack stuff was important.
And all that, yeah,
soundtrack stuff was important.
All that, but I'm with you. Like that first half, they had a lot of influence during that time, but probably I would have to go with the hottest group of the 90s. I love Teddy Riley, I love Guy, but I would have to give it kind of, the Boys to Men.
Good night. Good night.
No, he gives it the Boys to Men. Boys to Men to me had one. No, I'm not talking about their success. I'm talking about who do you want to hear? Who's good? Boys to Men had one good album to me.
I mean, it was like the first Motown Philly. What was it called? Cooley High Harmony.
Yeah.
Cooley High Harmony. Now that was
everything else was slow. Once they became men, it was
everything
boring.
else was kind of like when they were under Michael Bivins. They had a full, well-rounded album. Like what you would get from a New Edition. Or Bell Bill DeVoe. They had that full, well-rounded album. But after that, they did go and lead towards more of the ballads. But I would just come from just.
If you're talking about like notoriety and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Notoriety and success-wise. But I hear you though. Maybe when you say that Guy was most influential of the best group of the 90s, because that Guy sound, that New Jack Swing sound, was so instrumental throughout the whole. Anybody who was anybody, they kind of bit off that style. Is that kind of where you going with that?
Yes, Dr. Davis. I'm gonna leave Kim with this, and then we got to move on to your segment.
Okay.
Kim, is McDonald's the best hamburger or the best selling hamburger?
They are definitely the best selling, not the best.
That's the point. Hey, but real quick, I'm gonna do this twice because you just explained the ish. I'm gonna.
And now it's time for Ira Explains the Ish. Take it away, Ira Davis.
Just had to do that real quick. I didn't mean to like cut you off, Kim. I was like, I wanted to like get a bumper. What issue are you explaining tonight, Dr. Davis?
The issue that I am explaining tonight is June is African American Music Appreciation Month.
What?
Created by Jimmy Carter in 1979. This month celebrates the African American musical influences that comprise an essential part of the nation's treasured cultural heritage. Formerly called National Black Music Month, this celebration of African American musical contributions is reestablished annually by presidential proclamation. Though by no means exhaustive, we have prepared. I'm stealing this from the National Museum of History, but here are the things that comes.
I could have done that shit.
Carry
on, Dr. Davis. Carry on.
I know, but I had to come with some good stuff. I said I wanted because when people think of June, June is kind of been co-opted by another celebration. But before it was given to this celebration, June was the celebration of Black music. All right, and so when we talk about Black music, we talk about sacred music. We're talking about that gospel music. And with gospel music, it kind of started out in early America. It started out from the Psalms, from the Christian church. All right, and then we talk about folk music. All right, this goes all the way back, coming from African cultural traditions, going way with a lot of work, chant and game songs. Then we have the blues, and the blues forms the foundation of contemporary American music. All right, then we even have military music. All right, because beginning with the Revolutionary War, African Americans had a significant role in the armed services and military band tradition. They were often served in the fife and the drum corps. And when it comes to jazz is another music created by Black people here in America and evolved from ragtime. And it was based on syncopated instrumentation. Came out of New Orleans. Then we deal with rhythm and blues. And rhythm and blues is another diverse genre that has its roots in jazz and blues and gospel music. And then we talk about rock and roll. And rock and roll incorporates the elements of African American music genre. And I was just down in Macon on yesterday.
Mactown.
And we was riding on Little Richard Penniman Boulevard, and I had to tell my son, "Hey, Little Richard invented rock and roll. Never forget that." And then lastly, we have hip hop and rap. All right, which again probably is the hottest form of music around the world right now. All right, and that was started by African Americans. So with that, we celebrate June as this year Biden is calling it African American Music Appreciation Month, but we know this as Black Music Month is the month of June.
Woo, you explained that. It took a little longer than 2 minutes, but I didn't give you the 2 minutes this time.
All right.
Woo. June, African American Music Month. Mm-hmm. All right, Dr. Davis, you explained that issue. So tell me this, Dr. Davis.
What's up?
Why do people who say they're introverted go online on social media bragging about them being introverted?
As always, I don't know.
You can't explain it all, man. Can't explain it all. But you explain the hell out of that issue. And you also explain why, folks might need to respect the guy. which we will get into in our second hour, because I'm going to bring back my sponsor, maybe, after I bring in my musicologist, Roger Riddle. But we're going to go into this male bad boy. But thank you very much for explaining that issue. Let me play your music real quick and get you out of here.
All right, brother.
And now it's time for Ira Explains the Ish. Take it away, Ira Davis.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, for that. I explained the issue. Kim explained her issues with like the orders. Body Butter Bakery is back. The Body Butters are back. I'm gonna put a scroll down there to let everybody know. But yeah, she wants to control her flow of business, which I know is weird to say because she is my sponsor. But she also knows that she needs more work. If y'all need anybody who needs some work in Tallahassee, Florida, hit her up. Because Kim is definitely hiring and has plenty of work because business is booming. And the Shawn Show appreciates that. We're about five minutes away or so from bringing up Ade G, who is I've seen him act, but he's not really an actor. He's a young director and up-and-coming filmmaker, and we've worked closely on projects before as well. But before I bring him up, I wanted to explain this crypto thing, because crypto is crashing, and we're just right now waiting on Professor Hanif Omar from the Shaw School of Business to explain cryptocurrency, because I know a lot of y'all. In fact, we had a couple of brothers on. Hanif was one of them, as well as my former castmate from Ready to Love, Lamont, on talking about crypto and the benefits of cryptocurrency and all that. And now, 3-4 months after that show, we're now here where the market has crashed. And this is the first time it's crashed to this extent. And so we're trying to get a little bit more understanding as to what's going on with crypto, because I know some of y'all got your stocks, you got your bonds, and some of y'all like your Coinbase. Well, Coinbase just announced that they are laying off a grip of folk. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to play this quick commercial, and then hopefully we'll find Professor Hanif Omar and get it on. Because it is Juneteenth weekend, and here in DC, the Juneteenth Foundation is celebrating the weekend. In fact, I'm going to Juneteenth Honors Award Show on Thursday night. A lot of great people are going to be there. Some name stars are going to be there, as well as some concerts. But also we have a big Pharrell Music Festival. Something in the Water has moved over from Virginia Beach to here. But for Juneteenth and for my cigar smokers, this message is for you.
Hi, I'm Rocky Patel, and I'm excited to be partnering with the Juneteenth Foundation this year. I will be joining them for their special program, Juneteenth Honors, on June 16th in Washington, D.C., and their celebrity golf tournament on June 17th. Just next week in D.C., come join me and the Rocky Patel team as we celebrate Juneteenth and help provide scholarships to students who historically go to black colleges and universities. We have a very special announcement coming in this partnership that you don't want to miss. For more information and to purchase tickets, please visit the JuneteenthFoundation.com or click on their link in their bio. I can't wait to see you in DC next week. We're going to have a blast.
He said, to students who historically go to college, to black students who historically go to college. Close but no cigar, but we're gonna get there. Close but no cigar, we're gonna get there. Professor Hanif Omar is tied up right now. We're gonna move on with Ade G, and when Dr. Professor Omar gets in, we will pipe him in so we could talk about the cryptocurrency, and then we'll move on to our second hour. But first, here's an intro to this brother's philosophy. This is Ade G.
As a filmmaker, it's always been important to me to tell unique stories. I've always strayed away from telling stereotypical stories that change the race. Representation in film is important, So we can all watch a film one day and see someone that looks like us playing a unique role. It's always a great feeling, and it may inspire someone else to do the same.
That's ADG, lurking in the shadows.
Hey, how you
He's
doing?
in the light right there. Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you? You
I'm
in?
good, man. I hear you. I hear you just good. I hear you just fine.
It's good.
Hey, bro, it's been about a good year or so since we worked together, right?
Yeah. So, and basically beginning of 2021 into 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
How you doing?
we worked on this was like a senior thesis film for you, right?
Yep. It was
But
our
you-
final film.
But of course, you had to raise thousands of dollars. You had a great staff. The script was tight. It was suspenseful. The film is called Necessary Evil,
Yep.
and we're gonna show a clip from that later. But tell me how you been, brother, and tell me what's going on with the film game for young brothers like yourself.
I've been good, man. I can't complain. I actually just caught a new wind of like motivation. I'm trying to get my own production company off the floor. So I just dropped my website, did all my work on there, trying to do commercial work, also shooting films and everything like that. I just started a new series called The Mini Ballads of Berlin Wells. And me and a couple of my friends and actors just been shooting and I'll do the voiceovers for it. So just trying to put out as much content as I can, but quality content. Yeah.
What's the name of that show again? Because I didn't hear you for a second. I had to turn down
Oh,
some
it's
of my
called
background music.
It's called The Mini Ballads of Berlin Wells. You can see it on my YouTube at the G Company, or you can go on the G Company 21 on Instagram, and a link for the website where you can watch the series there. So episode 1 just dropped on June 1st. We're working on episode 2 now. We just shot the first couple of scenes for it yesterday night. So yeah.
Very good. Congratulations. How did this project come about? Was this something that was always in your head, or?
Yeah, as a creative, yeah, as yourself, man, we always getting ideas from time to time, and I just felt like it's been a while since I put something out, and I'm like, why don't I market myself and market these out, like just like put myself out there as well as like what I do. So I'm a filmmaker. I'm not usually used to being in front of the camera, but I'm like, okay, I'll put myself in front of the camera and have people that I know come and act with me, and I'll do the voiceover. So. Just trying to take a little page out of Issa book. She started off with a black girl, just trying to like build off that, a little bit of that.
So when it comes to filmmaking with like small resources, like do you have ideas first, or do you have ideas that you say, okay, I think I can make this because it won't cost a lot? How do you balance those two in this phase of your game right now, bro?
It's always I got ideas first. Like I don't care if I got the resources, man. If I like the idea, I'll make it happen. Like I'll at least try to. But once you realize what the idea it is, it's like, okay, how can I make this so that it is like cost effective, and like can I actually make it with the resources I do have? But it always gonna start with the idea, and then you'll figure out what you can do from there.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So we're here with ADG, and the film that he wrote and directed is called Necessary Evil. And before I show this clip that stars me in it, can you tell people how did you come about with this idea for the story?
So I got the inspiration from 2 shows. So on HBO, it's the show called The Outsider. It's a very eerie feeling. I think it's based off a Stephen King book. And it's another show called True Detective. And specifically season 3 with Mahershala Ali. That's my favorite actor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a kind of like a buddy cops. It's not a buddy cop story, but it follows 2 cops, black and white. And I kind of mixed those 2 ideas together to kind of make this series, make that film. Like that's where the inspiration for that story came from.
That Mahershala Ali season of True Detective sort of saved the franchise a little bit, because second season was, I don't want to say it was terrible, but nothing happened until the last 2 episodes. Right. And Vince Vaughn was sorely miscast, and Nick Polazzano, I think his name, Polizano, he just kept spinning his wheels or something. His ideas, I don't know, I wasn't feeling the second season. So that Mahershala Ali season
Yeah.
I thought actually had some redemption to it, not just to this core story, but to the whole series itself. So that was a good one to model your stuff over.
Now I appreciate that, but to be honest with you, that's the season that got me watching the show. Like when I see him on it, and then the story was so good, I'm like, okay, like he actually brought at least me as a newer fan to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
And now he's gonna be Blade. Without further ado, let's show this clip. And this is a clip I straight lifted from your site, Blowing Smoke. This is starring me in Necessary Evil, directed and written by Ade G.
How they treating you out there, kid?
Fair. Can't complain.
Cool. You see my Phillies last night? Boy, Schmidt hit that thing so far out the park, it landed in my lap. He went, pop.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about your daughter?
Sure.
Just walk me through it, start to finish. Everything you can remember.
Well, it was around 11-ish, and me and Ennis, we heard like wrestling sounds coming from inside Nisha's room. So I grabbed my slugger, went in there, and the window was open, and she was gone.
What did you do then?
I went looking for her.
Did you call the police?
Ennis did.
Nah, we don't know if he called the police or not, because I'm cutting the clip right there.
Yo, you what was you about to say?
Before you get into anything, you know what was really fun? So this new setup, guys, I can see people in the green room, and you're looking at the clip, and you're mouthing off the words as we're saying them, like word for word. Like, yeah, Ennis did, but she was going like, man, this Chuck know piece for piece, word for word. I mean, I'm sure you slaved over it in the editing room and all that, and of course writing it. But how does it feel to see your work presented by someone else like that?
Man, it's a great feeling. Even just seeing it at some of the events that it had got played at, like I just love that feeling seeing it on a big screen, because I know one day my work will be played on the actual big screen. So it's just a good feeling, man, and like that's my favorite scene in the whole movie right there. like when people who watch it, like it plays further out when Ennis comes in. Like, my favorite scene in the whole movie, bro. I love that scene. Yeah.
And Nick Wade, who plays Ennis, my wife in the scene, she's so great in this as well, and the whole cast is great. I mean, it was really it was really well done project, and you wouldn't think it was from a fellow who still got Similac under his nose. You know what I'm saying? But you brought some Philadelphia grit to it. So it's Necessary Evil is the story of a brother cop who's literally the brother of my character in the movie, in the short film. And he's called to investigate the disappearance of his niece. And the story goes from there. And it's a 15-minute yarn. And we get into it after that. And it's well done. It's got a little bit of a twist and turn. I don't want to telegraph too much, but right on time for Father's Day, y'all. Yeah. Now I know you got it on your Vimeo site, but if you don't mind, I have a clip. I wanted to put it up on my site after our show if people want to watch it there too, and and definitely spread your information out there. I saw you talk about and I know because you're this is your business and this is what you study, but you really seem to try to focus on the dynamics of what makes good storytelling. The ingredients of storytelling. Can you go through that? Because I have some people on this show right now, and who'll be watching it on the tape version, who want to be storytellers, but they're afraid that they don't have the dynamism to tell a good story. What do you think makes for good storytelling?
I mean, I could be long-winded, but to be short and just like something to start people off with, is characters. People stay invested with characters they can follow. So with every great story, you have to build good characters. So always start with your characters. And a little trick that I learned from another screenwriter is like every great story is a love story. So not like kisses and hugs, we like romance, but like every great story has love behind it, whether it's vengeance or like you pursuing somebody with love, or is anything. Characters that are motivated behind love usually turns out to be a great story. So start with characters and then build from there. Like if you have great characters, people will follow your story. Sometimes writers we get so focused on our plot that we will neglect the characters, and people won't stick around, especially for TV, if they're not just invested in what the characters are doing or what they're going through. So I always try to start with the characters.
So with your current well, before I get into your current, when Necessary Evil, which will be debuting at about 11 o'clock here on the J. Shawn Durham YouTube channel at 11 o'clock, you guys can watch that. It's a 15-minute watch. It's easy. It's moody. It's well acted and produced. It looks great. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's really good. And when you were writing those characters for the story that was in your head, what were the characteristics you thought were necessary or absolutely crucial to bringing that drama to the fore?
So I know I'm contradicting myself, but for that story, I kind of had the plot first, but I knew that, especially with Ernest, who played your brother, that like he had to be a family first guy, like so that when I don't want to spoil it, but like he had to be a family first guy, so that like he wants that we know what his goal is. He's there to find the disappearance of his niece, that he withheld information, and like he's there to protect his family. And you kind of, with knowing that about him, when you put him in an uncomfortable situation with his family, you get to see how like the story and the characters can play out together. So that's just an example I can give for like his character. I knew that he had to be like a family first guy. Like family had to be his number one priority. And now you can play with the story with that and see how he react in a situation he's not comfortable with. And your characters say, I really love your character, and I'm glad we casted you for it because you brought out like the best of him. And he had to be the jokester. He had to be like the fun-loving family guy, like that uncle at the cookout that everybody loved. You know what I'm saying? Like always cracking jokes, good guy. So you wouldn't expect anything from him. You know what I'm saying? So these are different characteristics I like kind of had. And then even when I had like auditioned you guys, like I kind of, when y'all had got the roles, I kind of gave out the characteristics of each character and like, just a little bit how to bring it to life. So yeah.
It's well done. And again, this is ADG. Your company's called the G Company?
Yeah, the G Company. Yeah.
And your website where people can find you and your IG
is the G Company 21. So the gcompany21.com, and then on Instagram it's the G Company 21. It should come up. Yeah.
And that's the letter G, the G Company 21. And I'll definitely write all that stuff down inside the notes for the film Necessary Evil that I starred in, written and directed and co-produced by ADG on YouTube. Yeah. They will be on YouTube on my channel, 11 o'clock, or when we get done fussing about 90s male R&B groups. Do you have a dog in that fight? I know how old you are, so you
Well, you said you have R&B groups?
90s male R&B groups.
Yeah, that's a little bit. I know 90s male R&B groups, but that's past my time. I don't, my type of music is a little different than that.
All right, so I hate this, but were you born before or right after 9/11?
9/11 I was born right before it. So I was born in 98.
98.
Yeah.
Still hate you.
Yeah, right before.
Yeah. Now, where are you from? You from Philadelphia? Is that right?
No.
Well, we talked about this. Are you from Philly?
No. So I was born in Newark, New Jersey.
Right. Okay.
And then about 10 years later, we moved to Brooklyn, New York. And from Brooklyn, New York, I moved down to the Maryland area. So when people ask me, I say Jersey, New York area. I kind of grew up in both. So, yeah.
Are you going to stick around here? Or are you trying to get to Hollywood? Of course, you're trying to get Hollywood, right?
Trying to get to Hollywood, man. I'm trying to get this money together to move out there right now. I got a few connects out there. They said they're ready to work with me when I get out there. So, God willing, everything will work out, man.
Hey, well, I'd love to work with you again, brother. So anytime, let me know. And I'm a creator myself, and we'll be chopping it up. If you got another project, or if I got a project, let's get up and talk some more.
Absolutely. Hey, now I saw you on the Super Bowl commercial too, man. I was watching the Super Bowl that year, and I was like,
yeah. That was a Super Bowl vaccine commercial. That was the only one they used twice. They had extreme close-ups.
Yeah.
I still hate those close-ups. It's too close on my face, but yeah. Either people notice me from that, or of late they noticed me from the HBO joint when I had a couple of lines. I don't know if you've seen it, but I was on the 5th episode of We Own This City, the second episode of We Own This City.
Yeah, man, I tried to actually get on that show to work on it, but just one of the things.
Yeah, I busted up some kids. I had some lines, so I'm SAG eligible. But he's ADG. We're so blessed to have him on, and again, we're gonna debut, and it'll be available on Shawn Durham, the YouTube channel. Necessary Evil. Let's say 11:05, since we're doing it 05s like Ted Turner would do. 11:05 Eastern time. I will debut it on my channel, and it's also up on his Vimeo, and he's at the G Company 21.com.
Yep. Man, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother, so much. Thank you, and God bless. And I'll be talking to you soon.
For sure.
All right, brother. Thank you. Good kid. Talent is so good. Talent is so important in these times that we're living in. You got to nurture it. You got to harness it. You got to protect it before it turns into a Kardashian. All right, so we're about to find Professor Hanif Omar, but I'm going to run one more commercial and then get myself situated, and we'll be right back. This is The Shawn Show.
Hi, I'm Rocky Patel, and I'm excited to be partnering with the Juneteenth Foundation this year. I will be joining them for their special program, Juneteenth Honors, on June 16th in Washington, D.C., and their celebrity golf tournament on June 17th. Just next week in D.C., come join me and the Rocky Patel team as we celebrate Juneteenth and help provide scholarships to students who historically go to black colleges and universities. We have a very special announcement coming in this partnership that you don't want to miss. For more information and to purchase tickets, please visit the JuneteenthFoundation.com or click on their link in their bio. I can't wait to see you in DC next week. We're going to have a blast.
With students who historically go to college. Thank you, Rocky Patel. By the way, for you guys who don't know, Rocky Patel is one of the signature cigar guys, American cigar producers in the country. And that's going to be a big deal here in Washington, D.C. While we're waiting on Dr. Omar, let's look at some of these notes here. Bitcoin is going to go higher, and now is a good time to buy. Sherry is buying the dip. Uniquely Sherry. Sherry is all about buying the dip right now. Bitcoin is going to pop back up, she says. And she goes a little bit further and says that most people do not understand that blockchain technology is the future. It is not just about Bitcoin or a monetary substitute for the dollar. I don't know what to say about that. That's possible. I have always been a crypto skeptic, and someone who's about to explain it is just appeared. Let's see. I see him in the green room. Brother Hanif Omar, are you there?
I am here,
Brother
Shawn. I don't know. Is it a lot of noise?
I can hear you. I can hear you pretty good. Yeah.
All right. Well, good. I'm in Cleveland of all places, man. So
why you say of all places? It's a metropolitan area like other places.
I'm not gonna say nothing, man. I'm just keep. I'm in Cleveland, man. I mean, actually, it looks pretty good where I am, but I'm in Cleveland, so.
You know what? When
For
it's dark and lights are on, when the lights are on and it's dark all the way around, it always looks good at night.
It does.
It's with,
like Vegas, like Las Vegas, you know. Until they turn the lights on in Vegas and everything looks like trash.
Oh boy, it's like the whole city was in a strobe light. Strobe light honeys. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of my great friends, Hanif Omar. He's all about the economics. He is he teaches economics at the School of Business at Shawn University, and he's there for a conference in Cleveland. But he was able to answer my call. I said, "Look, man, Bitcoin. Oh, this crypto joint is crashing." And who was it that said Coinbase? I think Coinbase is laying off thousands of employees, which is making the whole industry even fret a little bit more. What can you tell us about what is happening to crypto right now, and should people panic or not?
Well, again, the thing is that, you know, when you allowed me to come on a couple of months ago, I totally wholeheartedly think that people should invest in cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of the other ones, because I think it's a long-term currency. The thing is about crypto is that we're at a point in its maturity where now the average citizen is learning about it. So when the average citizen begin to learn about things, now there are ways that you can manipulate the market. There's some market maturity and things of that nature. So I would just say that definitely, like anything else, it's a currency, and we don't look at the U.S. dollar like a currency really, but putting your money, like I said a couple months ago, putting your money in savings is more riskier than putting your money into the stock market, because again, with inflation and things of that nature, you know, the currency changes, the value of currency changes. And so what you see what's going on with crypto now, or the value of a single unit coming down, those are things that historically happen in any market. And as the average citizen become more savvy about markets, right? Because I wasn't taught anything about the stock market growing up. I was just told to go get a job and get, make money and save, right? So I had to learn about these.
I think I just heard
and things like that on our own.
Okay,
so as the average citizen starts to learn about markets, can you hear me? Okay, market.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
This is normal. This is normal now for mature markets. So when you see times where stocks go down, can you hear me, Shawn?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, we hear you.
So when you see different markets like the stock markets or different stock go up and down, this is what you're seeing now that's happening with different cryptocurrencies. So should we panic? If you're investing at all, you should be not investing with the money that you're going to put into your home or pay your bills with. So if you're able to invest, you're investing with a level of funds that you should put there for the long term.
So if you can hear me, Hanif.
You panic? No.
So
the average like this with crypto goes down, that's a sell. That means, so we went to a retail store. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I was saying is you're saying, if you can hear me, that if you're investing, first of all, you should not be investing your last bottom dollar. You should have money stowed away that you can, for better lack of term, forget about, and just let the market do what markets do, and sit on it and not fret what it's doing, because you're saying these are growing pains for this market because it's maturing as a market. Is that what I got from you?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes, some to an extent. So what I'm saying is the money that you would put into a market So there's something called the wealth pyramid. So before you actually start investing in currency and the market, stock market and things of that nature, you have the bottom line foundation: insurance, mortgage, bank account, those type of things. And then when you get to that top tier of your wealth pyramid, is when you have discretionary income to put into the market. So that's what the type of money you should be putting into the market, your discretionary income. Now, should you watch it? Absolutely, you should watch it, right? So this is a time where you need to look at the stock market as a department store. So if Bitcoin was at 30,000 and now it's at 23,000, that's a sale. That means Bitcoin is on sale right now. So if that was like, man, Gucci's on sale, let me go get some shoes. So that's how you should look at these stocks. Because at some point, I feel the value will come back up because there is value in this cryptocurrency. The other part of it is, I will say this: if you go last documentaries that Nipsey Hussle did around crypto, go look at Nipsey Hussle or go to YouTube, put in Nipsey Hussle and crypto. Go see how he went over into other countries and started investing in crypto. One of the biggest messages that he said in some of those documentaries is that this is a currency that really can even the playing field for the have-nots. And so with food shortages coming and things like that coming down the pipe, this is an area where you can exponentially increase your wealth as opposed to some other places where you're not able to. So because those powers that be know that, then they can also affect the market and have them go down and allow unsavvy investors to leave the market. So if you're savvy enough and you got the wherewithal, you got enough money to pay your mortgages and things of that nature, and you've already invested in, and if you have the ability to buy more now, because it's on sale. So when the stock market go down or quote unquote crashes, that means the stock market is on sale. So anything that's on sale, go get you some more.
So you heard it there first from our boy, our man who says, hang in. If it's going down, that means it's time to buy. That's a sell. Buy low, sell high if you sell at all. Right? Hold on to it. This is going to be generational changing opportunities to make money. So Hanif says buy more crypto.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also he says stay away from Cleveland in daytime.
Yeah. And no, the last thing I would say also, if you can, go out on YouTube and check out Nipsey Hussle and cryptocurrency. Couple good, great documentaries there that go a little bit deeper into different forms, because we only really know about crypto, and we know about Ethereum. There's some other prone to other type of currency. So again, Shawn, always I appreciate that. I like the new format and everything, man. This is great.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you on when you're more stable too. We're gonna smoke a stick and we talk some more.
And I got the chance to see you
on HBO. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. I'm sorry, man. I'm at an entrepreneurship conference. I speak this week. I'm speaking to a group of people about Black entrepreneurship. No, I saw you on HBO.
There it is.
I saw you. I saw you talking about it, but then I saw you, man. It was awesome, dog.
Thank you. I was blessed to do it. We're gonna talk some more about it. We're gonna bring you on when you're stable, but yeah, get some rest. Look out around the corner.
Yeah, I'm here to speak about entrepreneurship this week in Cleveland, and I'm looking forward to it.
And everyone, you can follow him at bull _.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in this hotel like a tourist.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for taking time out. And that's the word on crypto. Thank you, Hanif. All right. So Hanif says, don't worry about it. Well, he didn't say don't worry about it, but he said this is now a sale. So if you're into crypto, and as long as you're not spending your last dollar or dime, then you should be all about this situation because it's an opportunity for you to buy low and sell high if you decide to sell it all. And he also says, look up Nipsey Hussle because Nipsey Hussle was all about that crypto life. And he did some research on some things that could really like navigate you through these troubled waters because it's just growing pains and the crypto market maturing. All right. I'm too broke to dabble in these things, so I don't know. But I do believe a lot of the people that are very learned about this thing. So that's your answer from Hanif Omar, professor at the School of Business of Shawn. We're going to run another break, and then we're going to bring up Roger Riddle, musicologist Roger Riddle, because we're about to argue, or maybe we're going to agree on this 90s music hip-hop, 90s music male R&B group thing, because I've already been fussed out by my sponsor. So let me make my sponsor happy and run this quick ad.
The Shawn Show is brought to you by Body Butter Bakery. Visit www.bodybutterbakery.com for beard and body oils, hydrating shower gels, and nourishing body scrubs with popular scents like strawberry lemonade, mango and pineapple, and champagne apple and honey. Bodybutterbakery.com, a proud sponsor of The Shawn Show.
All right, we're back, and this is the second hour of the Shawn Show, where we've had some great stuff going on already. And stay tuned after this segment with Roger Riddle. We will have a Shawn Says segment, which funny, I didn't even produce that, but I do have a Shawn Says ready, and it's on Juneteenth and how non-Black people should celebrate it. But with that said, we're bringing up the man, the myth, the legend, who's extra funky tonight, Roger Riddle.
What's happening, Shawn?
Hey, brother, how you doing, man?
All right, how you doing? It's good to see you, man. I'm digging the new format.
Yeah, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work, but people are finding us, and it's good. We actually had a really good audience last week, so this will be available on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and I think I'm gonna work on getting it on LinkedIn Live, and then we'll drain it and shrink it all down to wonderful MP3s for podcasts, because suckers are going to work now and they can't just be at home watching stuff. They gotta listen while they work. So that's what's up. And this is the summertime, so what better time to do this? Riddle, you ready to have this conversation?
Let's talk about it, man. Because you sent it to me, and I quickly said, like, I called out a couple of things, but you know what, like, the deal is, I don't know. I got a lot of thoughts. So let's just dive into it.
Yeah, let's dive into it. Let me see if I can. All right, so this new format is tricky, but let me see if I can find a way to share my screen with. It's not loading up because I have the bloody the thing. I'll find it. But I have this crazy bracket that was put together by D Nice, right? And D Nice started a fight. He says he didn't do it, but he put it out there, and he's the most popular person who pushed it out there. I mean, you got tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers or whatever, club quarantine dude that you are, hanging out with Michelle Obama, and you ain't responsible for this fight. And it's male 90s R&B groups. And it's in a March Madness format. And I'm going to have to tinker with it, and I'm going to have to load it up. But it's...
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
So you sent me the bracket, and I looked at it, and I know D Nice sent out the bracket, but I wasn't following along with the story. So the finals, as we see it on the bracket that you sent it to me, was that you or was that D Nice?
The finals that you saw were my finals.
Okay, all right, got it.
We're gonna talk about D Nice's finals because, quite frankly, I don't think he knows music with what he did. I think a 6-year-old filled it out for him. Quite frankly, let me just pull up this bracket so we can get to arguing, because I know I sent it to you via phone, and we're gonna have to do it old school like I did on the old show, on the old format. But let's see, get that. Yeah, we should be able to see something. So what you'll see here is kind of ridiculous, and I probably got to like do something different. But you'll see Boys to Men and New Edition, and then Mint Condition and High Five, then Silk and H-Town, then Blackstreet and Guy. That's on one side of the bracket. Then you have Jodeci. That's Tony. That's why it's so small font, because it's so many words. 112, I believe, versus After 7. Drew Hill versus Belle Biv DeVoe. I don't even know why you spelled that one out. I don't even know why Belle Biv DeVoe in there.
Also, if you notice on Belle Biv DeVoe, Belle is spelled wrong. There's only one L in Belle on that bracket.
You know what kind of new nigga bracket this is? this janky ass. Let me finish this. It's stupid. So yeah, Drew Hill versus Belle Biv DeVoe, and then Jagged Edge versus Next. Okay. So people get upset with me that I eliminate New Edition against Boys to Men because, first of all, New Edition ain't a 90s group. They're an 80s group. Right?
They put out one album in the 90s. It was dope. It was dope.
That album wasn't dope. That album was dope for everyone getting re-entered into the nostalgia to unlock the 80s stuff so they can go on tour and pay bills.
I don't know, man. Like,
but that hit me off shit? That hit me off?
No, Heartbreak. Heartbreak happened in the 90s.
I thought Heartbreak was 88. I think Home Again is the only album.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Any Heartbreak, I think, is 88.
So you're right. And then I was giving them too much credit. I was like, "What? The best albums came out in the 90s." Like you said, 88.
No, they were old as shit in the 90s. They didn't have no damn best albums in the 90s.
Also, I thought it was weird. Whoever paired them together. Like, I would love to know, like, if I was good friends with Michael Bivins and I could like sit him aside where nobody else is hearing. It's like, how do you feel about Boys to Men versus New Edition? Like, just, the band that you were in versus the band that you discovered. And they went on. So here's the thing about Boys to Men too. Like, I'm sure we all know Boys to Men were good, but I don't know if everybody realizes just how good they were. So they spent 50 cumulative weeks at number 1 on the Billboard chart. So across their whole career, that's 50 weeks at number 1. The only people who were there longer than them are Drake, the Beatles, Rihanna, Elvis, and Mariah Carey. That's the type of company Boys to Men keeps. So like if you sit down with Michael Bivins and says like, "Hey, Michael Bivins, New Edition versus Boys to Men, who you got?" Like, what do you think he would say?
Ooh. Well, no. Here's what he's gonna say. He's gonna say New Edition because Boys to Men had to drop his ass because he didn't run them anymore and he lost that money. So he's looking at the actual money. He ain't thinking like, yeah, this my group now. They can overtake my other kid. Nah, he ain't thinking like that. He thinking about New Edition because he still can get a piece of that money, right?
Yeah, that's true. Cooley High Harmony is certified 9 times platinum.
It's a fantastic album.
It is.
It's one of the best albums. Forget whatever genre. I think it's just one of the easiest albums to listen to. And even some of the fast songs, back then, it's like when Boys to Men came out with their album and Jodeci came out with their album, which we'll get to, you sort of like would skip over the fast stuff and just got to the slower side. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
But Boys to Men, Under Pressure, Simpin' Ain't Easy. Shit, Simpin' was a good song for White Man Can't Jump. I think that was a song they used for White Man Can't Jump. Of course, Motown Philly. So that album had great slow songs and fast songs. My thing about Boys to Men is that once they became men, they became boring. That second album, 2, did nothing for anybody.
Look, it wasn't my thing. Like, I didn't listen to it nonstop, but I do have to say that second album went diamond platinum. It sold 10 million copies.
But that's because the first album sold so well, you know, that it generated all of the heat.
Also,
you know, that was the thing.
But also, they have a larger fan following than just us here in the United States. So, like, they put out, if I made no mistake, they put out 2 all Japanese albums, like them singing in Japanese. Like,
but Riddle, I think I put out 2 all Japanese albums. Those jokers will buy anything. Cool Negroes, yes, we will buy. They'll buy anything.
I'm saying, like, this is another thing that tripped me out about them too, and this says a lot about like who they were again and who they were working with. But
check that out. I can share the screen now.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So guys, this is my Sweet 16, but I'm going to tell you what D Nice came up with, but we're just going to go through shot for shot and matchup for matchup and talk about it. But yeah, go ahead. What's your point, Rob?
They were working with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They end up doing the backup vocals on the title track from Michael Jackson's History. Like Boys to Men were like, they were and still are, like, because of that first album, because of that second album, they are such mainstays. Like, I'm often been curious about, like, when music journalists talk about the Great American Songbook, like, what do you have to do to get in there? Like, is Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You in the Great American Songbook at this point? Because it should be. Like, what Boyz II Men song, like End of the Road, is that a candidate? If not,
it has to be
the Great American Songbook.
That was a prom and graduation song, and a song for when your high school friend died unexpectedly. It did all of that.
Yeah.
Boyz II Men's End of the Road covered all of that mess. It was sweet, but it was also sad, and it was also, you know, it was a catch-all song. It was an anthem. You know, I hate it for anybody who had it as their prom anthem, though, because that was kind of sad, you know. But for high school graduation, that sounds cool to me. But yeah, I mean, I'm not denying Boyz II Men's they're bona fides. I never know how to say that. Bona fides, bona fides,
whatever. We on YouTube. You say it however you want to.
Yeah. They bona fides have been their bona fides have been bar none. With that said, we're talking best. Well, actually, they didn't qualify here. Well, actually, he did in his post. But best male R&B groups, I guess, to the ear, because if we're just going by who sold most, you know, Boyz II Men wins, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we're talking R&B, so it's got to be funky. It ain't too sappy, and we're talking male shit. We ain't just talking, you know, everyone's got a ballad. I had New Edition win, and you know what? Quite frankly, I think it was my nostalgia. I shouldn't have had New Edition win that. It should have been Boyz II Men versus Men Condition. I'm willing to say that. All right, people. So y'all been jumping on me. I'm willing to say that. What do you think about that matchup, Roger?
I would definitely pick Boyz II Men here. I mean, even if I slip and give New Edition Heartbreak, me thinking that was the 90s, like, that's still isn't enough to deal with what Boyz II Men put out there.
Yeah, Motown Philly alone crushes New Edition in the 90s.
Motown,
because New Edition, and folks, listen, once again, and Roger, I know you agree with me on this, New Edition is an 80s group.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like I said, one album in the 90s, one album. When we get to the end, I'll talk about bands that I feel like were left off this list that should have been there. And one of my things was, like, some of these bands that I'm thinking about had way more albums in the 90s, even though they started in the 80s than New Edition did. So, like, what was the criteria for making the list?
You know what? I think this was just some suckers smoking weed after a set in Philadelphia, and they were like, "Yeah, man," and that one too. Hey, don't forget Next, which I'm sure everyone forgets Next when they're sober. Ain't no one remembering Next.
I had to look them up because I couldn't remember what they did, and then it turned out I was like, oh, there's one song, and I know that song, and I used to love that song, but I never knew who sang it, and I don't remember anything else from that group.
That was RL and his production and shit. I'm like, okay, Next, get out of here. All right, so let's go down that Mint Condition versus High Five. Now, this is the first of we have to talk about the group thing versus band. It's really unfair. I think the 90s were indicative of Donnie Simpson losing his job at Video Soul, because we probably would have had more bands had he kept his job. You know, I don't think I want to do a documentary on Donnie Simpson and how he affected for the worse when he left or lost his job at Video Soul. Wow. But Mint Condition as a band versus them Calvins versus from McDonald's. Them Calvins from McDonald's of High Five. You mean to tell me that Pretty Brown Eyes alone? First of all, they had nothing but ballads, and their fast stuff was good too. If you're a Mint Condition fan, you love Mint Condition because you've seen them perform and all that, and they just seem grown compared to these little boys. I mean, I understand. Well, I don't know. I'm talking too much. What do you think, Riddle?
Well, this was one of the ones when you sent it to me that I mentioned right off the bat. I was like, you know, like Mint Condition for me, like Mint Condition would have gone all the way to the finals for me.
We said it would have been Mint Condition versus Tony.
Oh, for sure. Like if I was filling this out, it'd have been Mint Condition versus Tony for sure. Like Mint Condition, they were last time we were here. I was talking about Prince. Mint Condition was from Minneapolis. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis saw them performing at First Avenue, and that's how they ended up getting their record deal. Man, like these guys were really and truly, like, even after they put out a few albums, they became even more so kind of like the indie rockers of R&B, where like they were doing it all kind of on their own. They were putting it out on small labels, but they were like making absolutely incredible music, and they were a whole band. Like it wasn't just seven guys singing. Like they were singing and they were playing instruments, and this actually me thinking about this and Tony after we had that conversation was one of the things that I started thinking about was like, where is the line between soul and R&B?
Right.
Like where can you say like this is where it stopped being soul music and this is where it became R&B? And also, is rhythm and blues, when you say rhythm and blues, is that different from R&B? I think that it is, and I think that Mint Condition could easily have been a soul band as well as a rhythm and blues band, and but the deal is they'd beat High Five no problem. Like
beat the brakes off a High. You know what? High Five would be the headliner or the group that will come after Mint Condition, and Mint Condition will be the group that will sort of be like, we don't really know if we heard Mint Condition stuff, and they'll be the first group, and people will be talking about Mint Condition, and no one will be talking about High Five.
Oh yeah,
that's the type of band they are.
You know, High Five was from Waco, Texas.
You know, I'd heard something like that, but I'm not. You know, I just know that one of them got sick, and then someone went to college, and you know, a whole bunch of real life happened to High Five. And
for sure, like one of their members was in a car accident that left him paralyzed from the chest down, and he just died. He died in April of this year. That was the one they called Pooh Clark. He was in a car accident after the release of their third album, and but here we go. I like the way the Kissing Game was #1 in Billboard Hot 100. So like the pop charts, it went to #1 on the pop charts. That was a good song.
It was a legit song. It was their breakout song, right?
Yeah. And then from their second album, they had Quality Time, which was written by R. Kelly, hit number 3 on the R&B chart. So like they were a legit group. Like they had they were produced by Teddy Riley. You know, like they have like the things that you want to see from an R&B group. But they wasn't gonna stand up in Mint Condition. Like
No.
Stokely's voice and that band playing like
Riddle, that's 100% correct. The thing is, even though you didn't really know Mint Condition like you would know, say, The Time, you know, like personality for personality, persona, on a singular level, Stokely is such a force of nature. When you see that dude perform, and then the band, it's all about the instruments, right? They're cutting it up, and what Mint Condition will do is say, okay, y'all want to do that little R&B stuff, we'll do R&B, and then they'll break out steel drums, and then they'll break out, they'll start doing a jazz set, and then they can do a funk set, because they like, their album was one of their albums, Definition of a Band. This is what a band is. We can play all of the styles, so you can't just put us to your little boy group shit.
You know, Stokely just put out a new album last year, and it's got some guest appearances by Snoop Dogg and her, and I guess it's a solid album. But man, like you look at the cover of it, you know that brother's doing it all on his own. Like it is, and it is an independent release for the most part.
It's 100% all of his imagination, and I think that album was gonna be released, and I remember the first track on it, I think, was She. She is a friend of mine. She definitely designed. It's a tight track. It sounds like a Mint Condition / Stokely track. And like right after that, the world had to shut down. So it was shelved for a long time. And so I'm glad that it's coming back out. So yeah, we agree. Mint Condition, respect to High Five. Rest in peace to Pooh. But y'all ain't getting past this first round. Silk versus H-Town. So there seemed to be a real hood leather pants bracket. This is a quarter. The hood leather pants quarters right here. Silk, H-Town, Black Street Guy. So someone had a sense of humor. Silk versus H-Town.
This is getting into that area of R&B in the 90s where I was starting to tune out. Like I was like, I know a couple of these things, but like, yeah, this is all starting to sound very similar. These were like groups that were like derivative of Jodeci. And you know, like there was a point where like Jodeci came out so strong, so hard, and then it seemed like every band after that seemed like someone kept cloning Jodeci, and like songs were getting like further and further away from where it started, and it just wasn't working out no more. So like this is starting to get in that area. Silk had a few songs. Freak Me, okay, like I remember it. Like it was one of them songs like you heard it in the club, you dance, you'd have a good time. That's it. I don't remember much more about Silk other than that.
I think I paid attention to Silk a little bit more because my sister, you know, I'm a University of Georgia boy, and my sister who graduated before me and was there at Georgia, she, I think, actually knew some of those cats because they were Georgia cats. So
right, people from Atlanta.
Right. So people in Georgia were paying attention to them a little bit more because they knew them.
Okay.
And Silk had, you know, a couple of songs, and the little lemon head dude, freaky. But you know, it was almost a coin flip, but I think Silk had more songs because I don't think H-Town ever had another song.
Oh, let me talk about H-Town. First of all, let me say Silk's first album was largely written by Keith Sweat. Keith Sweat.
Yes, that's right.
And like that goes a long way. Again, like talking about things you want to see in an R&B band, like who'd you work with? Who'd you work with? Keith Sweat is a name that you want. You like if somebody was working with Keith Sweat, you can give them one listen. This was a trip for me, man. In 2006, they put out an album of all covers. I'm sure no one knew that. No one probably cares. But here's the deal, man. Like some of the songs they covered was like Prince's Adore and Quincy Jones' Secret Garden, Always and Forever by Heatwave. Like I was just kind of like, I don't want to knock nobody. I ain't never put out an album. I know a whole lot of hard work goes into making an album. I don't want to knock nobody's hard work, man. But like, I don't know.
No, you are of the same mind that I am. You just can't do covers of great stuff. You know, like I sort of that's the one little problem I have with Silk Sonic, right? They're going for that 70s luxurious R&B, heavy soul but luxury soul feel, but it's not lived in. You know, there's no weight behind it. It felt like, okay, we could. You ever watch a show called Sherman Showcase?
Yes, incredible show.
It's an incredible show, right? And so they're knockoffs of certain songs. You know, like they had an Anita Baker knockoff on there, and she was clearly an Anita Baker knockoff. It sounded like it could have been an Anita Baker song if it was Muzaked at a Kmart, right? And that's sort of how I felt about Silk Sonic stuff a little bit. No disrespect, they did great work and they deserve their Grammy, but to have these bite-sized versions, not because they short, but they are short, but these bite-sized versions of this type of music, I think you just can't do it. You can't just emulate it that haphazardly. And so I think that's what you're kind of saying when it comes to like that Silk album of covers, which was largely ignored.
I could have a whole conversation about Silk Sonic, but I do want to jump into H-Town before.
Oh God, let's get there. Yeah.
All right, knocking the boots. First of all, do you remember that H-Town's first album was on Luke Records? Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like he puts out H-Town. They put out Knocking the Boots. It goes to number 1 on the R&B charts, number 3 on the Hot 100. Like that is a pop. Like it was everywhere when it came out. That was a pop song. They put out 2 more albums in the 90s, largely forgotten. But the interesting one was that third album. It was called Ladies Edition World, Woman's World, and it was like a it was a concept album, I guess you could call it. It explored themes of domestic abuse, and it was like from the point of view of like a man who had regrets over the way he had treated his woman. And like in the liner notes, it was dedicated to Nicole Brown Simpson. Like, I don't know what happened.
Wait a minute. Are you saying H-Town? I don't know why this has missed me. H-Town has an obscure album that is dedicated to domestic
Nicole
abuse and dedicated to Nicole Brown Simpson.
Yes. And it's called Ladies Edition Woman's World.
If that ain't the most 90-ish behind the music Soul Train edition shit I've ever heard of.
Like they were on Luther Campbell's record label in their third album. They were like, you know what? Like, I think we got this all wrong. Let's rethink this and let's look at life a little bit differently. I don't know what happened to them, but good for them. Good.
They went to one of the big ass churches in Houston because they got plenty of them. So, we clearly agree that whoever won that Silk H-Town bracket wasn't getting out of the soul leather pants quarters that this Southwestern bracket is right here.
They both lost.
They both lost. So it's like, who cares? We could have left that shit blank. But Blackstreet versus Guy, someone had a sense of humor here. This is like when Bobby Knight, who would coach at Indiana, would play against like Coach K, who used to be his assistant at Duke. You know, like the committee have like a cute sense of humor. They do some shit like this. Blackstreet versus Guy. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Well, maybe you do, but there's a couple of people like, nah, boy, look, Blackstreet. Like, y'all really don't. And I think this is where I love her to death, my sponsor, and Kim may be able to chime in if she wants to after we go through the bracket, but she's like, Guy shouldn't be nowhere here. Tell me your thoughts on Blackstreet versus Guy.
When I first looked at this, I initially thought Guy. I loved The Future. I loved that album, man. But after I thought about it and I went back and I played some Backstreet and I was kind of like remembering like what they were. First of all, Teddy Riley is in both of these. That's the humor in this. Like Mr. Teddy Riley, who was just kind of like, when I initially saw it, I was like, I wonder if Teddy Riley worked with every group on this list. Like that's something that could have been possible.
Or everything that he's done has made everything sound like Teddy Riley. So he's the Phil Jackson of this matchup. So Guy is Chicago and Blackstreet are the Lakers. You know, he's getting rings either way.
No Diggity was at #1 for 4 weeks. Like that's just absolutely crazy. What my favorite thing that I just wasn't even thinking about was that Dave Hollister was on that first album and he left. Dave Hollister left the group after the first album, and then No Diggity blows up, and like Backstreet goes down in R&B history after that. And I wondered like what Dave Hollister thought after that. They won a Grammy. Like the one that really jumped out at me that I was just kind of like I had forgotten about this, but it was also this moment of like that's how popular they were at the time. Was that they had a song called "Take Me There" with Maya and Mace that was on the Rugrats soundtrack.
Oh God!
They opened for New Edition on the Home Again tour, and then but the thing for Backstreet that made me say like, oh yeah, and this would put for me Backstreet over Guy, is that the Fix remix.
Fix was a cold track.
Oh my God, the remix had Slash from Guns N' Roses. Here I am, like the kid who loved all types of music, like every genre of music, and they tried to do it in one song. You got Backstreet singing with Slash on guitar, Fishbone doing the backup, and Old Dirty Bastard making a cameo in it. Like I absolutely love that song. I've forgotten all about it. The most 90 thing they did though was Girlfriend Boyfriend, which featured Janet Jackson and Ja Rule. That's the 90s of a song as you're gonna get right there.
It was extra 90s, and it was also kind of that era sort of took away for me a love affair with the music. Like you love the people who were giving you the music. It just felt like it was cranked out at a certain point, or let's bring this rapper or this hybrid rapper singer on for this track with this group and all this other stuff. And it just really, it became very busy. But I do feel you on Blackstreet.
That was another thing for me about R&B. This, like I said, like there was a point where I started tuning out, was that I'm most likely, and we kind of talked about this with Prince too, I kind of don't like my songs to have a rapper in the middle of them. Just sing it. Like either be a rapper and rap, or be a singer and sing. Like don't just throw a rapper in the middle of a song because like that's what you're supposed to do. Like in most there are a few cases where it works, and I love those songs. That's great, but for the most part, man, just if you in the R&B, just sing and don't worry about it.
Just give me do your R&B thing.
Yeah.
Don't bring over, hey, we need Jay-Z over here. Well, then it's gonna be Jay-Z did some bars on this song, and you forget about the person,
But God, man, their first album went double platinum, and my fantasy was in Spike Lee's "Do the Right Thing." Like,
right?
That's legit. That's
yes.
legit.
Well, so I say just from genuine love of R&B, and like. Who is it? Is it Plato? It's Plato, Socrates, Aristotle. Is that how it is?
Yeah.
So if Teddy Riley is Plato, then Blackstreet is Aristotle or Socrates, right? There's a template for that. But the thing that was missing, Guy has a sex appeal, and this is as a straight man, right? I say it's the 1 a.m. factor. Yeah, the music can sound great, and all these guys can sing well. But even though he was not an attractive man by many accounts, women and brothers felt like Aaron Hall was that dude. He's got his shirt open, he's bow-legged. He's talking about sex like the old folks talk about sex. It's like, yeah, that's gonna be some sex right there, and that's gonna be some real sex, and that's Guy, and yet they can still party. They can still do up-tempo stuff, which we'll get to when we get to the other side of this bracket. So that's why I would choose Guy over Blackstreet.
One last thing. This was like the weirdest for me. Did not know this until I started like going back over this stuff. They covered Wilson Pickett's "A Land of a Thousand Dances."
Guy?
For the Fern Gully soundtrack.
How did I not know that? And I remember Fern Gully. They tried to make that a big deal. Maybe that's why I never saw Fern Gully. I I don't know what the hell you're talking about right now, Riddle. we're here with Roger Riddle. Used to be just known as DJ Roger Riddle. Are you spinning anymore, Riddle?
I haven't been lately. The last time I touched my turntables, this is legit. Like the last time I touched them, like turned them on, played something, was April of 2020. So like the pandemic just completely knocked me out of like I want to get back into it. When I do, like I'll make some mixtapes and put them on live. I probably won't be playing live, but
he's too cool right now in his bunker in Akron, Ohio, surrounded by all his crates. But he's here talking about this ignorant ass 90s male group, Sweet 16, that was pushed out there by D Nice. And yes, D Nice, I'm calling you out. And we're gonna talk about who he chose, but we're gonna go through my picks. And people have been excoriating me. That's a wonderful word. Excoriating me for my picks. When y'all don't even know that New Edition is an 80s group. Ugh. Anyway, so yeah, you probably would sound like you were leaning towards Blackstreet. I'm Guy all the way.
I'm taking Blackstreet, and which like I said, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's gonna be Guy. I loved Guy. I loved them. And I pulled up the records and started playing them, and I was like, I still enjoyed it. A lot of times,
yes.
And so I will say, like, I do have to be honest with myself about when I like something for the nostalgia of it. Like, I'm starting to remember these moments from my life, and that's why I like it versus like whether or not it's actually good. There were a couple of songs for sure in Guy where I was like, oh, like this sounds like the 90s. This reminds me of high school. But there were a few things where I was like, no, like I still legit love this. So like when I went back to Backstreet and I ran across the Fix remix, I was like, oh, that's right, it's Backstreet.
All right, fair enough. We move to the other side of this bracket here. You want to start with the top, or do you want to start with the Southeast region? Because that's clearly why they put it there. That Southeast region is literally Atlanta.
We could go through the South. I don't have a whole lot to say about that. The Southeast region, man.
The Southeast.
If you want to knock it out of the box real quick, let's do it.
You know what? Let's just knock that shit out real quick. Because that Southeast region is, I thought Drew Hill was a top seed when I saw this shit. Like, what? First of all, Jagged Edge, other than them two damn twins who no one knows, which one is Brandon? I don't know. All I know is that I'm not trying to get married, and I don't care where the party at. After that, I don't care about Jagged Edge. I think in Georgia we cared about Jagged Edge, but their rival was 112, and they lost to 112 a lot. So I couldn't give Jagged Edge no props. Next. Come on. That's we already talked about next. Next. Yeah,
next had Too Close. That was it. And I love that song. This was a moment of like nostalgia because I remember a friend of mine was hanging out with this girl who had a friend that was from England. We were in the club over in Windsor, Canada, and I was dancing with this girl from England, and she was beautiful. And Too Close came on, and that song was stuck in my head from then on. Like I always remembered it with that moment, so I liked that song. And like, no, like that's it. Like that's all I remember about the group is this moment in Windsor, Canada for me. Jagged Edge, this is another one where it was just kind of like the R&B, like this is derivative of Jodeci. Their name sounds like a rap group. They kind of dress like a rap group. They look like but the music, like I couldn't remember not one song from Jagged Edge. I'm not positive that I ever heard anything from them during that time because I moved out by that time.
See, your musical palette is way too diverse, Riddle. I know all of Jagged Edge's 5 songs, and the answer is no on this. So you know what this is? The Jagged Edge next bracket is the same as that Silktown H-Town bracket. It don't fucking matter who wins that shit. Wifey and Butter Love, and they're in the comments talking about this, but you know, those are all cutesy ass songs, but no.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm not taking anything away from folks who like really connect with Jagged Edge, because like when I pulled up the music and I started listening to it, instantly it started to remind me of like my cousins and family, and so like I heard that stuff, but it was like in the background. I wasn't listening to it; it was just playing. So like I know that like there is like that means something to somebody. Oh, thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Sherry.
Don't get it started. She gonna ask you.
Jagged Edge, that means something to somebody. Next, that means something to somebody. And again, I ain't never put out an album. Them guys work their butts off and put out albums.
And they were quality acts, but they were never like, boy, we got to go to the concert to see them. Right. I don't ever remember them being a headliner type of feel. Okay. So we've drilled that one. In this South, you say we can knock this one out. Belle Biv DeVoe, their second album scraped its face because they fell so hard on it. It's terrible.
I've never listened to it.
I think the video was terrible, and that made it's like, you know what? We're done with this. We're just done with you guys. Get out of here. So yeah, that it had to be Dru Hill, right?
I don't know. I would have picked Belle Biv DeVoe in this case because again,
what?
Dru Hill, this is again like it's in that moment of kind of like I'm tuning out. Dru Hill sounds like a rapper's name. In fact, there was a rapper named Drew Down.
That's the school that they came from, man. That's the school. That's the area. That's the area they came from. The area.
I was just kind of like, no, like I was not checking for Dru Hill. Belle Biv DeVoe, like this is that first album, and this makes so much sense once I say it and you think about it. That first album was produced by the Bomb Squad, like the same producers that put out Public Enemy's first 3 albums. That's the reason why Poison sounds the way it does. It
Wasn't
just
that
like
that's some Dallas Austin? I'm sorry, brother. There's some Dallas Austin in there too, right?
Dallas Austin.
I think Dallas Austin got some stuff in there too, man. Because I think that was his breakout. Because he was working with Bivens, and then you had a group called Highland Place Mobsters, which never really took off. But they had a hot track called "Let's Get Naked." Doom 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 doom. Let's get naked and do what we see. I knew all that R&B shit. That's when LaFace was really popping up, and Atlanta was really happening. And I'm going to college, and I knew all of that chicken shit. Well, it ain't chicken shit. This is some really good work by some people, but compared to the greats.
Can I talk about something that I think about every time I hear the name Belle Biv DeVoe? I rarely ever hear it. In fact, I don't know if I've ever heard anyone other than me say this. So we all know Poison. As soon as the music starts at the picnic, you're going to stand up and you're going to shake a little bit. Sherry, believe me, like when we talk about what was missing, I thought about them too.
We're going to go into that because I thought about a couple of these.
Do Me Baby. The song Do Me Baby. It was like, it was a hit, right? Like, and we all know
it was a follow-up. It was a follow-up to Poison.
Right. When was the last time you listened to that song?
It's a fantastic song. Backstage, underage, adolescent, gotta have it. She's a
so
like to do the wild thing.
Are we ever gonna talk about like what he was talking about in that line?
He's talking about underage sexing.
Man, like I was like there was definitely a point where like I guess I was younger and the 90s were a different era. Like it's hard to say that sometimes when you be like, oh man, things were different back then. You know, well, I'm assuming things were because like I remember the song on the radio and like I was probably fresh out of high school. Maybe I might have still been in high school during the time when this album came out. So like it probably didn't mean as much to me, but I definitely hit an age where I heard that song and was like, wait a minute, what? So like I would not trust any children, anyone under the age of 18 that I care about around Belle. I have not trusted anyone under the age of 18 around Belle Biv DeVoe. I want to hear them say like,
well, what do you think R. Kelly got it? That was the old commercial about drugs and shit. I learned about watching you, Dad. In the 80s and 90s, I learned it from watching you. And R. Kelly can point like I learned it from watching y'all. They were messing with underage groupies who were latchkey women who ran away from home and all sorts of groupiedom. I mean, where the term skeezer was used and thrown around so much.
Oh yeah.
Just in New Jack City, which is the dividing line, by the way. New Jack City is a dividing line of this new era of music.
But hold on. what do you think happens at New Jack City? Because New Jack City, for the most part, for me, is where the New Jack Swing starts, which is like,
yes,
yeah, like this is the subgenre of R&B that like all of a sudden so many people are saying like, no, like New Jack Swing was actually really good music, and I can't argue with that. Like that's
it was so hard. It was so up tempo, and for me, it just feels. I hate to say it, but I'm just going to. It feels so butch, almost to the point where somebody is slapping a woman, which is the bad type of butch that I'm talking about. But there's a muscularity to New Jack Swing. Like even when Teddy Riley was producing for Michael Jackson, he had to like, it still had these hard edges to it, and it's like he had to take a file musically and file down some of those edges so you can remember the time, because can't let her get away is hard, but it's glass breaking everywhere, and the riff is hard, and that lick is tough, but you got to round off them edges, Teddy Riley, and I don't know if New Jack Swing works anymore.
I don't know. Like I listen back to it, and that's why
I love it. I love it though.
I love Guy. Like once you get into that New Jack Swing, like that's exactly what Poison was the peak of the New Jack Swing songs.
Yes,
or maybe if you want to count Rex and Effect, like that might have been the only contender to Poison.
Any of those songs. All right, we got to move on because we drilled this down.
Yeah, we cutting it close. Let's go.
We cutting it close. I don't want to get too far over time because I still gotta. Either way. All right, that northeastern bracket, and I think that's why they put it here. Tony. If this were March Madness, they're the team that has to travel all the way across the country to play at East Rutherford, New Jersey, because they're coming from Oakland. They're clearly gonna lose, and it's unfortunate because they shouldn't be. First of all, bands, this is where you can have your diatribe about bands and groups. I'll let you have the floor, Roger Riddle.
Tony, I believe my words to you was it's a travesty that Tony lost to Jodeci. Dwayne Wiggins, Raphael Sadiq, and Timothy Christian Riley were all related. Dwayne Wiggins and Sadiq were brothers. Riley was their cousin.
Mm-hmm.
That first album had Halo Water on it. The second album had It Never Rains in Southern California and Feels Good. Sons of Soul had If I Had No Loot and Anniversary. Like these were my songs. Like,
Sons of Soul and House of Music might have been, because I remember when I got House of Music to review when I was at the Red and Black newspaper at the University of Georgia, and I had that CD. First of all, it had The Blind Man on there that Raphael Sadiq eventually put on his solo album. But the other thing about that album, the Tonys were so not talking to each other that they did their parts and instruments separately, I'm told, in different studios. But it was such a fantastic Annie Mae I still sing Wild Child to Let's Get Down to
my song on that album was Holy Smokes and Gee Whiz.
Holy
that was such a great
Smokes
album.
And Gee Whiz. Man, like Tony, so the Tonys did certain things really, really well to me. They weren't as versatile as, say, Mint Condition. But the difference between the Tonys and Mint Condition in their disposition is like lyrically, Mint Condition was always like, hey girl, I know you're having a bad day. Well, let me just be the one that you talk to, and you could be on my shoulder. And the Tonys are like, let me tell you about that whole ex-girlfriend of mine, 1992 and 1993, about my ex. They were straight Oakland, but they were just short boys. But that was a great contrast, and that's a versus I would love to see.
Oh my God,
that's a real versus. But they should, none of those brothers. The Tonys and Stokely and Jimmy Lewis, Terry Lewis's brother, Kerry, and them boys should not be up against these groups, because these groups didn't have shit to carry. They get booked more because you just didn't have to pay the moving fee. They just had to walk around swinging baseball bats and shit like the dude from H-Town who says, oh yeah, and he has a baseball bat looking like a cretin, and just wear leather shit in July.
Like they extras from the Warriors.
Warriors. but yeah, like it is a travesty. You're absolutely right. With that said,
real quick, man, like they were even beyond Tony, changed the way we thought about music. Like Wiggins and Riley, they were writing and producing songs for In Vogue, Karen White, and Tevin Campbell. Raphael Sadiq went on to be what we know now. Raphael Sadiq, he wrote Lady for D'Angelo. He's got a writer's credit on Solange's Cranes in the Sky.
They played they played background for Prince and were fired.
Oh my God.
When Prince had his bodyguards hand them. Well, I think we talked about this on the Prince show that I did. Look it up in the archive. Prince had his bodyguards go to McDonald's and pick McDonald's applications up and hand it to them when they were expecting sheet music to get ready to perform. And they said, "What is this? This is what you're gonna need now, because you fired." That's so damn Prince.
Good on Prince for firing Tony, because we got to see Tony and Raphael Sadiq. No telling what would happen. Yeah. I meant to say this, like, Mint Condition toured with Prince, but can you imagine if Prince had hired Mint Condition instead of the New Power Generation, like what his music could have sounded like?
I think he'd still be alive. This is God's honest truth. He might still be alive. I don't think he gets into a depression and hangs out with Larry Graham and I had it right the first time. Lame ass Larry Graham in the Central Station.
One more thing I want to say about Raphael Sadiq, because it came up just recently. Like, I have gotten obsessed with this group out of Sweden, of all places, called Little Dragon. Like, I first heard of Little Dragon years and years ago. I used to play like a couple of their songs in my DJ sets. Really cool stuff. Had no idea they were from Sweden. But like I heard a few of their songs, really liked it, and then just recently started listening to the music again and was blown away by it. Been listening to it nonstop. As I'm going through like their catalog, I run across a song that's produced by Raphael Sadiq. So it's Little Dragon from Sweden, produced by Raphael Sadiq, with Faith Evans singing background, and the song is amazing. It's called Peace of Mind by Little Dragon. Like if you just want to hear like something that's a little out of the ordinary, it's still in that I don't know what you would call it, like future soul vibe, but like it's such good stuff. But like that's the type of thing that like later on down the road, like I'm still thinking about Tony, because Raphael Sadiq ends up in so much stuff that I like.
I am pulling that up and I see it. I almost want to, I don't know if I'm that smart to, let's see if I can do that. Let's see if I can do this. Hold on a second. We're going to see if Shawn can actually do something here. And I don't know if you guys can hear my screen, but I'm about to do something with the screen that I'm sharing. It won't let me do it. It's only doing one thing at a time.
Y'all check it out. Find it.
Y'all check it out. I'm listening to it in my ears. It's funky as hell already.
It's so cool, man. It was so nice to see Faith Evans doing something cool like that. And again, like I said, like I'm absolutely in love with Little Dragon these days. So like it was really nice to see that they have worked with Raphael Sadiq.
I'm gonna keep playing with this and see if I can get this going. I'm gonna pause it right now. When we're done,
we're getting close to 11 o'clock.
We are getting close to 11 o'clock.
We are at 11 o'clock.
We are at 11 o'clock.
You got something you want to share with the folks?
I do have something I want to share with the folks. That's my Juneteenth, Shawn says. Let me ask you something real quick. So, do you have at least another 10 to 15 minutes when we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll share with the folks. Don't worry about it. It's still the Shawn Show, so I'm my own editor. This new format has been spilling over into 2 hours and a half or so, but that's because the conversation has been really good, and I thank everybody for checking us out. All right, we're gonna finish up this bracket, and y'all can keep fussing at us, but we've given some good rationales, and Riddle has given me reason to not completely drive up to Akron and kick his ass. However, I think I'm more of an R&B file, more gully than he is about this shit. I'm really I'm really protective about my R&B because I grew up with it. It's in the barbershop when I grew up. And it's like, this is, no, I don't care how many albums you sold. This is the shit. This is the good shit. This is what I want to hear. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about this. So we just wrapped up that Southeast region. After
we
7.
didn't talk about Jodeci at all. Hold on.
Well, yeah, we haven't talked about Jodeci yet. We haven't. We still got 112 versus After 7, which is kind of the same group, except they're 15 years apart in age, right?
Dude, so After 7, I had just kind of forgotten about them. And they were the older brothers of Babyface, Melvin and Kevin Edmonds. And I wondered, like,
and Keith is the cousin.
Keith
is a cousin.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Keith is like LA's cousin.
No, that's not true.
I think that's right. I think
no.
The other one, the third dude who had the ponytail and he was just light skinned and had the pencil stash.
So
I think he's the cousin.
I'm tell you something crazy because I thought that too. That was
always the rumor because Levert. There was the other dude who was the cousin, and then it was like. Yeah, go ahead.
It was a marketing ploy. They were trying to pass that guy off as L.A. Reid's cousin, so that the connection between them and Babyface and L.A. Reid would draw people to it. But like, it was not true. Like, I was like, what a bizarre marketing ploy to be like, hey, dude, just tell everybody you L.A. Reid's cousin. I'm like, what?
Just like Steve Harvey, let's say, hey, Tommy, just tell him you my nephew. You nephew Tommy. Now, you doing Ready to Love, nephew Tommy? We like only 5 years apart. You nephew Tommy, though. Yeah, I can see that. So Steve did the same shit. It's just a good old showbiz tactic.
Ready or Not. Ready or Not. A killer song, man. It is such a killer song. But it should be a killer song when you got Babyface writing for you, right? Like, how bizarre would it be if you the brothers of Babyface and he was like, nah, like,
nah, we don't want that one.
It's gonna cost you, and you ain't got enough to work with.
Really, Nicka? Like, go back to your cocaine then, suckers.
Can't Stop. Can't Stop was another great song.
I bought that album. That was one of my other albums that I bought off a CD back when CDs had all that extra cardboard. Before they gave you just the disc, right? It's so wasteful to the environment. I think we have 5-degree higher temperatures because of CDs back in the 80s and 90s. So I saw After 7. After 7 came with Hammer, and I want to say with Oaktown 357. Hammer came to Macon 3 times, and I saw him twice. And After 7 were fantastic. They were fantastic. Their second album wasn't quite as good, but they kept hanging around. But then when they realized that they weren't doing as well and they had to split the money 3 ways, then they split up. Basically, Baby I'm For Real is quite a song. Very good, Alicia. I'm going to put you up there. Baby I'm For Real is quite... Baby I'm For Real.
Oh, yes.
They
so
just
112?
112?
Man, I was not into 112 at all. Like, this is the Puffy era of all things that were hip hop and R&B at the time, man.
Very good point.
The only thing that I remember from them is like, what was that song where they like the I'll Be Missing You? Like, they were the background singers, right? Like,
no. Yeah. Well, they were the background singers of Puffy saying goodbye to Biggie. He did 15 songs of saying goodbye to Biggie different ways. But they also had Cupid, where you didn't have to know too much guitar because it was just it wasn't much music. But yeah, there was Cupid. There's Peaches and Cream, where they basically talking about oral sex with a woman. It's just a huge long ass metaphor for tongues down a woman's V. And they had a couple of them. We Could Do It Anywhere. They were kind of grimy. They had songs that you bop to, and when you hear them now, it's like, oh, I remember this song. That's kind of cool. But they didn't stick. They're kind of like cotton candy. They were New York slicker packaged version of Jagged Edge. It's like Jermaine Dupri didn't have Madison Avenue and a good PR person for his people, but Puffy had his people, and they polished them up and gave them, they always wore white. And there was the skinny dude with the shower in the hour. We could do it anywhere. You know, it's very R&B, rub your hands around a tree. Hey, girl, type of thing. So, all right, enough of that.
All right, hold on. Let's talk about Jodeci. Let's talk about this.
There's so much to talk about Jodeci. They're controversial.
Oh my God, man! Like I had forgotten just how crazy Jodeci was at the time. Get out of here, Sherry! Like that is like the deep cuts trivia you got.
She
right
said, "Well, that's his company."
Did you stop by and hand you a business card? Were you in the market? Like, how did you come up with this knowledge? That is amazing.
There's some great money painting homes. So if he's painting homes in like the Vinings and shit, he's making money.
Hey man, like he up there around Alpharetta hitting them big homes. Like if he charging by the square foot, like he's making bank.
But if he's painting crack houses where he just open up a paint thing and just throw it up against the wall, that motherfucker is broke as hell. You know, he might be on the Shawn show next week. What's your appearance fee, Roger? Because I'm going to pay him the same thing. All right, so we're going to get into this. All right, we got to have this conversation about Jodeci. Got to have this conversation.
Man, they started out as gospel singers. What happened?
Crack and women.
Man, like they released, prior to being Jodeci, Casey and JoJo put out 3 gospel albums under the name of Lil Cedric and the Haley Singers.
And you hear it, right? You hear that timbre of gospel.
Yeah.
You hear the Holy Ghost in their voices.
Oh my God. All of them, not just Casey and JoJo, all of them started out as gospel singers.
Oh, hold on. Mr. Dalvin didn't sing shit now. Come on. And Devontae did what Teddy Riley would do. Like when he had real singers, he just hum along. I wanna give wait a minute, Teddy. You don't know that lyric, do you? I ain't got to, bruh. Okay, but we ain't gonna tell me Devontae was singing, and Mr. Dalvin, that motherfucker was too busy trying to keep his S curl intact. But go on.
All right, so this is a trip to me, man. Again, Prince plays a role in this.
Of course he does.
Devontae at 16 runs away. He's like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna go make music in Minneapolis with Prince. He goes to Minneapolis and hangs out outside of Paisley Park, goes in every day and begs them to give him a job. Never made it past the receptionist. She was like, nah. No. Just kept saying no to this dude to the point where he was like, I guess this ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna go back to North Carolina. I need to work on my songwriting and production. And that is how we end up with Jodeci. He worked on his songwriting and production so much that when they finally made it to Uptown Records, Andre Harrell heard that demo and was like, no way. The production is too good. These dudes trying to con me. I ain't falling for this shit. Finally, they ended up in front of him, sang like face to face so they could prove they could actually do it. And Heavy D happened to be walking by and was like, what was that? And then later on, he went over to Andre Harrell and was like, I think you got something there. That's the only reason they got signed. But the crazy thing is, he still didn't trust him. He handed him off to an intern.
Of course he did. Who did Prince trust other than Larry Graham and the Jehovah's Witness people?
No, I'm talking about not at this point. I'm talking about Andre Harrell.
Oh, Andre Harrell.
Andre Harrell still didn't trust after he heard them sing. Still didn't trust that Jodeci was going to be any good. So he handed them to an intern as a project. Was like, here, you take care of them. And it turned out to be Puffy. And like Jodeci made Puffy's career.
And that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Oh,
but man, like they were insane. They were like gun charges, sexual assault charges. Devontae got robbed in his house for his jewelry and clothes. Like they were like
they came up with Diary of a Mad Band. That was the album that's supposed to be their quintessential album, and because they were. Here's a word that I don't like use too much, but in the tabloid era that was big in the 90s, they were notorious. They were a notorious R&B group. And I guess you call them a band because Devontae put the shit together. But they were like a band like Guy Was a Band, which goes back to why they're going to be 1 and 2 in my bracket here. But Yeah, Jodeci. Here's the thing I have about Jodeci. No one sings an up-tempo song. In fact, people always throw in Get On Up like they throw in their token non-member of whatever race they are friend as say that's one of them that I'm friends with. That's what they say about Get On Up. It's like, you don't like black people? Well, are you kidding? I like Bob over here, and Bobby, hey Bobby, hey, what's up? And, that's what they do with Get On Up with Jodeci. No one can point to a legitimate up-tempo song. We always skip over that shit. So
I was like, I know I've heard them, but I can't think of them. Like first of all, like Jodeci lost me after the first album. Like I loved the first album. I loved Forever My Lady. After that, man, like I was just kind of like, no, like I don't know what's happening here. This was again like my thing about like it's too close to rap, but it's not.
Yeah. It's like they wanted to go over the edge and do a Boys in the Hood video, but they didn't want to go all the way and be that dirty, like on the content level. But they wanted to be grimy. That's where romance is now. It's grimy. Listen to some white producer somewhere or A&R rep saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. And, everyone, what always killed me, Roger, all these acts would always say, I'm a big fan of Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway. Y'all ain't listening to no damn Donny Hathaway. Ain't man one of y'all listening to.
No.
Layla is hardly listening to Donny, and that's his daughter. And I love Donny, but you can't tell me y'all suckers just came out and said, I just heard Donny Hathaway and let's do Fiendin'. No one says that. You ain't gonna do Fiendin' after listening to Donny Hathaway. I'm yelling in this.
They covered. I can't remember if it was Jodeci or if it was Casey and JoJo, but somewhere in there they covered. What was it? It was what's the guy's name? Why can't I think of it? He went to Sam Cooke's funeral in his suit. He's Bobby Womack. Have you heard this about Bobby Womack? Hold on, let me
So give the people the notes, because Bobby Womack was so cold towards Sam Cooke in that story.
Talk about grimy. Oh my God. So I know, like, we are way off topic here, but
but that's why we have these topics, because we get go Riddle, go.
So Sam Cooke dies. Bobby Womack is Sam Cooke's protege. Like, he's learning everything about music from Sam Cooke. He goes to Sam Cooke's funeral with his wife, Sam Cooke's wife, wearing Sam Cooke's suit.
Because he'd been banging Sam Cooke's wife the whole time. His wife was a no good so-and-so.
And they get married.
Yes.
Sam Cooke's wife and Bobby Womack get married. And then he leaves her for their daughter. Sam Cooke Bobby Womack marries Sam Cooke's wife and then leaves her for Sam Cooke's daughter. She leaves him for Bobby Womack's brother, and they become Womack and Womack. Like, what is going on? The first time I heard that story, man, I couldn't believe it.
It doesn't get any worse than that.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't get any uglier than that. It's just,
God, man. All of the ridiculous shit I didn't like doesn't come anywhere near that.
Nothing comes close to that.
Like, whenever I feel like, man, like I did some terrible shit, man. I think about that story, I'm a whole lot better. But Jodeci covered one of their songs, one of Bobby Womack's songs, and like that's as close as we got to ever hearing, like, them talking about like if they were inspired by any great soul acts, like their music never reminded me of anything like that. Like, they could have been like, I was inspired by Wu-Tang Clan, and I'd have believed that more so than they were inspired by Stevie Wonder.
May as well be. So all right, let's move on. So we finally covered this. Let's just say, for the sake of sakes, that we have what we have, because we really got through we really broke it down bracket for bracket. We both agree mint condition. Now this is a real question though. If the rules that stand firm, these seedings are terrible. Mint condition versus Boys to Men, because I'm gonna replace New Edition. Look, guys, sorry, ladies. I know you like your New Edition reunion tours and all that. All that shit was written when I was under 10 years old, and I was 10 years old up until 1986. So all of the shit that you like about New Edition was written when the boys bum bum bum, and past the Dutchy Boys had videos, and even earlier, okay, and shags were happening, okay. So they're not a 90s group, they're an 80s group. Boys to Men, their success cannot be eliminated or disavowed. Mint condition, though, their artistry in this region, because we have to go by the rules here, based on what D Nice gave us. Thanks, D Nice. Boys to Men versus mint condition. In your heart of hearts, how would you do this, Riddle? Because you seem to be more fair towards people's success as opposed to just what you liked per ear.
Oh, so I agree, and that's because, like I said, like a lot of the stuff I wasn't deep into. So for me, it was just kind of like, well, what was happening at the time? Like, why would you even be on this list? But for me, like my winner in the in this side of the bracket is mint condition. If you put mint condition against Boys to Men, and this really becomes like what I like. Like I on a regular basis. Well, I'm not on a regular basis, but I more often play mint condition songs just listening to music than I ever do Boys to Men stuff, even as good as they are. I heard it so much that like I don't really reach back into Boys to Men like that. But
up until the pandemic, mint condition still putting out music until Stokely did his solo thing. I was buying Audis in 2010s mint condition stuff, and it's actually good stuff.
Yeah. So for me, mint condition wins. Mint condition beats Boys to Men.
Okay, so we agree on that side of the bracket. As we have it here, we said Silk and H-Town we didn't give a shit about that. As most of America did not give a shit about that. No, they're the Georgia boys too, so I love them. Blackstreet and Guy. Now you went Blackstreet. I went Guy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go slash that so we can keep the conversation going. Blackstreet or Guy versus mint condition.
I'm picking mint condition.
So see, now
I don't care.
The grown man of me wants to do that. I agree with you. I agree 100% with you, Riddle. The grown man in me says, fuck what you heard. I want to see and hear mint condition more and more. But if it's groups, Guy changed so much to me. Guy begat Blackstreet, right?
Yeah.
And
you don't get Backstreet without Guy.
You don't get Blackstreet without Guy. And Teddy Riley is really the force that is Teddy Riley versus mint condition. And that force that was Teddy Riley cost Donnie Simpson his job. I think Donnie Simpson's last video was "Your Body's Calling Me," and then he had to like pack his box up and get the fuck out of the Alexandria, Virginia studios of BET at the time.
Well, I am not. I understand all that.
Yeah.
I'm living for the alternate universe where mint condition, like all of those bands that, like you said, like just kind of slipped away. I'm living in the alternate universe where they thrived, and so mint condition for me goes on and beats Guy, even though Guy, or in my case, Blackstreet. Even though I enjoyed both of those, I love Guy, I love Blackstreet. I'm still picking mint condition.
You know what it is to me too. I'll put this apples and oranges too. When Babyface went up against Teddy Riley, you and I both know that's supposed to be LA and Babyface versus Terry and Jimmy. I think Terry and Jimmy aren't interested in it. But on a grown folk level, it's different. Where Teddy's shit is always it's super dancing, it's super hard. Boom, 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 boom. But he was able to round out those edges, I think, with Guy and with Blackstreet. Babyface, a little too slow, but the up tempo stuff sort of feeds into my Lakewood Amphitheater 1994 type of vibe. If you know what I'm saying, it's like Shantae Moore is gonna come out and say, "It's all right, and we're gonna hear that, and we're gonna drink some wine on some blankets and be grown-ups. And because I'm 45, maybe I'm feeling that way. But yeah, I feel you on that. I didn't do that with the group because I was respectful of the bracket. But duly noted, Mint Condition. Y'all buy some Mint Condition. Let's keep it moving. Mint Condition versus Guy/Backstreet. Drew Hill. We put Drew. Shit, I think we put Drew Hill all the way to the finals because of that damn competition. That sorry ass bracket. That bracket didn't do shit. Now, so here's the thing, Riddle. I think song for song, Drew Hill is a mighty force against Jodeci.
Okay.
I do.
If you want to, I would have picked Belle Biv DeVoe over Drew Hill just because.
That's so funny.
I can't even name a Drew Hill song, man. Like,
how can you not name it? You don't like Beauty?
I was too, I'm telling you, man. Like, I tuned out around that time. I was just like, I don't know what's going on here, but this ain't me.
Shit, even the Nutty Professor song. How you in love with me? Tell you what ain't going to be. Can't be able to like me. Yeah. It's like
you know, like you made vocal noises. No one words. Why you?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. These guys do not care about words. Okay, they do not care about words. Come on, Riddle. But you would go with Belle Biv DeVoe.
Because I can name two of their songs. Like I can name two Belle Biv DeVoe songs. I can't name no Drew Hill song.
I will tell you. I will say this: that was a real problem with Drew Hill, because I think it's the problem that I have. It's not the problem I have with Mint Condition, but it's the problem that is their problem. Outside of Stokely, and outside of Kerry Lewis, who was Jimmy's brother, Terry's brother, and now Kerry is no longer with them.
Jimmy's brother? I did not know that.
Yes.
He was married to Tony Braxton.
He was married to Tony Braxton, which is why they always hung out and they would do tours together.
Oh.
So he could be with the band.
Huh.
Yeah. Other than that, though, none of those guys in Drew Hill, other than Cisco, had a personality. And no one necessarily liked Cisco's personality. Although I think Drew Hill does up-tempo better than Jodeci, because no one can name me Nam Jodeci up-tempo song. And their slow songs were very damn good. Now, here's the question. Were their slow songs Cisco and Drew Hill, or was it actually Drew Hill? You don't care because you said bump these groups.
Yeah, forget them. But that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, someone sleeping in my bed. Someone sleeping in my bed. Yeah. They just took nursery rhymes and just said, we're going to do a ballad. Anyway. No. All right, moving on. Here's the big controversy that I had Guy versus Jodeci. Let's say you had, I know you got Mint Condition going through this whole thing.
I got Mint Condition to the finals. I'll take Tony over Jodeci. I'll take After 7. So Tony versus After 7.
Oh, bro.
And Tony beats After 7.
Dude, we taking brand new heavies in this shit. We bringing
all. Like, I can't believe I didn't think of them because I was all about brand new heavies, man. Like
if we had a chance to, we would do it.
Yeah.
But this is D Nice's ignorant ass bracket. And let me pull it up.
Yeah, he put Tony on there. That means I can pick him. I'm taking my final is Tony versus Mint Condition.
Sir, that's a damn good point. You're like, hey, no one told you to put Tony up in here. I got it. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to find his bracket because his bracket is ignorant as hell. And that's not. Does he have another damn IG? Because he had it. He must have pulled it down. People must have fussed at him. Because here's what he had. He had New Edition. He had New Edition versus. I'm looking at it. He had New Edition versus Jagged Edge
in the finals.
In the finals. I'm not lying to you, and I know. I'm looking right now.
Very good point, Alicia. Brand New Heavies was not an all-male group.
Hey, they only had one set of fallopian tubes. All these other male groups had a bunch of fallopian tubes get in between them.
So,
who said who is after 7? Really, Lola? Did you say who is after 7? Who is Lola W? Come on, Lola. In the heat of the moment, baby, I lost my head. I lost my mind. I didn't know what to do. All right. But he had God's Honest Truth. He had Jodeci. No, he had what does it say?
New Edition.
He had New Edition versus Jagged Edge.
I've never wanted to talk to D Nice more than right now. I just need to know, like, I'm not gonna clown him or nothing. I just want to know, like, I want to hear the logic. Here.
Look, Riddle, I'm on the exact opposite of that. I never wanted to not talk to that motherfucker more than any time ever. I don't have to talk to you. You say you know music. You got Jagged Edge, bruh.
You're like the DJ of the moment right now. You were in Boogie Down Productions, and somehow you pick an 80s group in the 90s male.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Michelle Obama ain't got Jagged Edge in New Edition in the finals.
No, she does not. Michelle Obama might quite possibly have my finals. She seems like the type that would fit Mint Condition versus Tony to me.
Well, we're gonna wrap this portion up. Let's put a capsule on it. Let's talk about the groups that weren't here, and tease 2 things, and I'll give it to you in spoon feeds. So, the groups that aren't here, people mentioned Shy.
Yes, I agree.
I mentioned Basic Black.
Okay. All right.
Someone said R. Kelly and the power announcement, public announcement.
I meant to ask you that. I was like, so is that a group? Would you consider that a group?
In no way. Is Prince and the Revolution a group?
Yeah, like good point. Like, would you ever just be like the Revolution? No, like you gotta have Prince, or else the Revolution doesn't work.
Yeah, or else y'all playing at county fairs. So no. A couple of others. Let's see. There was the Soul for Real, but come on, guys.
Oh, Soul for Real
hardly had an album.
It looked like Craig Mack kept cloning himself.
Soul for Real?
Soul for Real, man. They look like 5 little Craig Macks.
They were too little. You realize Heavy D is dead?
Yeah, Heavy D died, man.
All right. Any other groups that you got?
I had Shy. I had Color Me Bad. I had 2 that I was kind of like, they don't fit, but they got New Edition on here, and these make more sense than New Edition. Levert and Take 6. Levert had 3 albums in the 90s.
Bruh.
Like, they had more albums than New Edition did in the 90s.
It was so big that Gerald was able to start with LSG.
Yes.
And he was writing for Joe. Right. He wrote some great songs for Joe. So
hey, let me ask you this too. I meant to say this when we were talking about Jodeci. So Jodeci comes out, they split off, and Casey and JoJo do their same time, do their thing. Roughly around the same time, there's a singer named Joe and a singer named Case, and they form a duo called Case and Joe. So at the same time that we had Casey and JoJo, we had Case and Joe. And like that's the type of shit that I was talking about that made me just tune out R&B during this time.
And only Joe survived, and barely. Joe barely got out alive. It's like, in the movie when the shit blows up, and we can't find him. He must be gone. He's like there's like fire on his back. He's crawling through the marsh, and there's fire on his back. But you're right. Case and Joe did Faded Pictures.
Yeah. Does that count? Could they have been in this? Like, they would have made more sense to me than Next.
Not a chance, because
Okay.
because Case, the only thing Case did after that was Mary J. Blige. He didn't do, although that's quite a record. Eyes on the prize, eyes on the thighs of Mary J. Blige. Imagine how good the cat must be, says Common. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna get you out of here on this. And this is a big ass argument. If we were doing women, and I don't even know if the women groups, because it feels like TLC wins if it's the 90s. But if it's the
good point, yeah.
But if it's the women of the 90s,
SWV.
So you have SWV, you have TLC,
Escape.
But if Escape, you have 702, Little Chicken Shit groups.
In Vogue.
In
Vogue is in the finals for me.
You know, In Vogue only has 2 real albums, and the third album was sort of like but they're all good albums. But I don't know if In Vogue wins. In Vogue feels like the mint condition of this whole thing right here, right? But if you go individual artists as well, you're talking Janet Jackson, Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey. Those are the 3 that I'm thinking about as far as and Toni Braxton, as far as owning the 90s.
Vanessa Williams?
No.
Why not?
What did she do other than show her titties in Penthouse?
Right, because I said her name and now I can't even think of that song. Like, she had that one pop. Oh, Shantae Moore.
Shantae Moore plays. Shantae Moore
Moore
plays. She's the Kim of this group. Love calls. Shantae Moore. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here.
All right, dude, this was fun. Always talking with music with you is fun.
We're gonna do this again. Y'all stick around. I'm about to do what Shawn says, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. If you want to do overtime, just find me over on IG. I've missed the deadline for 11 o'clock to post Ade's film, but I will post it at midnight. I swear to God, because I've already hyped it up. But Riddle's gonna say goodbye unless he wants to pop up on IG later. And I'm gonna do this. Shawn says, and these are rules. As soon as I find it, these are rules for how to celebrate Juneteenth if you're not black. Okay. Before you go out there waving your Juneteenth flag, and look, I've been black all my life. You mean to tell me there's a flag? I had no idea there was a fucking flag. But before you go out there, Mr. and Mrs. Woke non-black person, let me help you assimilate among the celebratory throng. See me now? This is how you celebrate Juneteenth if you're not black. Rule number 1, don't talk too much. Rule number 2, there may be some grilling going on, but best believe this ain't the cookout. The cookout is a relative state of black communal euphoria, and no, it ain't a barbecue. See, that's why your ass ain't invited in the first place, because you want to call shit barbecues instead of cookouts. You don't just get entry into that community. You have to earn that. And regurgitating all that black culture that you've consumed in your life doesn't just get you in either. Sorry, I don't make the rules. Rule number 3, keep your racial harmony platitudes to a minimum. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Okay? You don't talk like that during St. Patrick's Day or Cinco de Mayo or Yom Kippur or Diwali, and you damn sure don't talk that way on Columbus Day. Rule number 4, thank you for your expression of empathy. Still, keep your words brief. The bakery is closed, so no concession crackers will be handed out for you and your white wine, all right? This shit ain't about you or your ancestors and what they did. Shut the fuck up. Rule number 5, shut the fuck up. Rule number 6, feel free to buy black, meaning support black-owned businesses and vendors. And that doesn't mean just going for soul food when you get a hankering. You greedy bastards. That is cheap patronage. When metaphorically speaking, white people live their lives like a buffet in the first place, meaning you pick and choose when you indulge diversity. Buffet socializing. Stop picking and choosing. Do it when it's not comfortable for you. Rule number 7. If you about to fix your mouth to start a sentence with the words all, followed by the words lives, people, or races, and then decide to finish that damn sentence with some shit like matter or something like that, expect a harsh reprimand. And by reprimand, I mean a backhand to your face. Because nobody wants to hear that shit. Rule number 8. Nope. Still don't want to try your potato salad. Rule number 9. You can open an account at a black financial institution. You don't have to be black to do that. And rule number 10. So, you once dated or are married to a black person? Fantastic. Refer to rule number 1, please. It doesn't make you black. So curb your enthusiasm there, Larry, before you catch a foot and mouth disease, which could result in a foot in ass syndrome. Follow these rules, and you and your black friends will do just fine on Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day to usually my road dog, Tyrone. You're still in Europe or what have you. We hope to get you back here soon. Happy Father's Day to all the real brothers out there. And no, ladies, even if you're mother and father to your kids, you're not their father. Let's respect that. In heaven's name, we say, peace. Roll the end credits. Because the end credits are the same as the old credits.
The Shawn Show is brought to you by Body Butter Bakery. Visit www.bodybutterbakery.com for beard and body oils, hydrating shower gels, and nourishing body scrubs with popular scents like strawberry lemonade, mango and pineapple, and champagne apple and honey. bodybutterbakery.com, a proud sponsor of The Shawn Show.